Welcome to United in Focus. Here are three things Ruben Amorim must learn from United's win over Chelsea. Okay, starting off, delighted as ever to be joined by my brilliant panel, Sean, Vatsal and Adnan. This week we're talking about United collecting 3 points, a bit more positivity in the air at long last. I suppose talking first about the first lesson that we're going to talk about from Amorim's Amorim needs to take from the game over Chelsea is game management. Some people kind of focused on maybe some of the changes United made after going down to 10 men. But at the start of the game, Vatsal, it would be fair to say United dominated. Chelsea were reduced to 10 men and there was only one really winner.
Yeah, Old Trafford was rocking. It had an air of a rabid atmosphere. Andy Mitten put it perfectly on X when he said that Old Trafford smelled blood, and that hasn't happened for a very long time. It looked like we were going to score with every attack. Chelsea just looked rattled by the pace of our possession and the way which we were moving the ball. So if that's the response that Amorim can get out of this team, it's infuriating that they can't do it every time, but when it happens, oh man, that was something.
Adnan, did you have any issues with game management after we went down to 10 men, after Casemiro sending off? Because there was some substitutions that maybe were a little bit conservative, but at the end of the game, United came away with 3 points.
I think he showed one of the smartest moments of his entire United career in terms of the way he was managing things, because I think the big one was when Brian Mbeumo was about to come off and everyone was reacting on social media, and then he decided not to. And it was kind of, I don't know, maybe you might see it as a bit reactionary. People might be like he's frantically doing something, but I think it was really smart because he realized, why should I take him off in this moment when he's really shining and I can just keep playing him? So I think that was one of the decisions where I think he did really great. Obviously, there's other ones where people are questioning him rotating the defense as much as he is, but I think that one was a really good sign for me because he's under pressure. He is under pressure and he really dealt with it. And I think that performance can't be played down. Yes, Casemiro got sent off, but I think he really shone in that performance as Manchester United manager.
Sean, would you agree with that? Because obviously towards the end of the game, United were kind of sitting back, taking the pressure, but Chelsea weren't creating too much.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, it worked, right? We got 3 points. I think a lot of people have questioned the Ugarte substitution, but if anyone has gone back and watched Amorim as a player, I think he sees a bit of himself in Ugarte, that kind of destructive midfielder, disruptive kind of breakup play. I think he really likes him at that. I know we want to see Mainoo play more minutes, but the Ugarte sub did work. I think he was all right in the Manchester derby, did a job against Chelsea, and as much as we don't like seeing him come on, he did do a good job and we got 3 points at the end of it.
That's one of the biggest talking points from the game was discipline after Casemiro sending off. But funnily enough, we spoke about the Manchester derby and complained about how there was no fouls or no yellow cards and United weren't leaving anything in on the opposition to raise the atmosphere. A week later, we had a man sent off for maybe going a bit too far. What did you make of the 2 yellow cards? And do you think Casemiro was a little bit silly, or is it just part of the game that we need at times?
I think both things can be true at the same time. Casemiro was a little bit silly, but at the same time, I don't really think that second yellow card deserved to be a yellow card. We say it very regularly that if you have to send a player off, then the barometer for a foul has to be a bit higher. I could maybe get away with Casemiro getting a yellow card for that foul if he wasn't already on one. But because it was about to send him off, then I think the referee should have had a bit more common sense and a logic, because it wasn't really cynical. It was just a regular foul. I think he could have gotten away with it.
Adnan, I'm going to come to you because you were praising Amorim's management of the game just a few minutes ago. But when I was at the game on Saturday, there was a guy just sat in front of me. And after Casemiro's first yellow card, he complained to say, it's time to take him off. He's going to get sent off. That guy left to go to the concourse. And by the time he came back, Casemiro had been sent off. So it was like he saw it coming. What were you thinking when Casemiro got his first yellow? Do you think that Amorim should have taken him off with the likes of Ugarte available and, of course, Mainoo too?
No, and everyone thinks they're a genius in the moment. And if that person was proven wrong at that moment, then they would have never said anything. But I think that was a moment where no one could predict it, because I agree with Vatsal. I think the yellow card was just not, it wasn't a yellow card, to be honest. It was quite harsh. And I think Amorim would have rotated his subs. I think Casemiro was going to come off in the second half. And it's quite impulsive to say. I think Casemiro gets like a really bad reputation sometimes, but he's an experienced player. He's got a conviction with it, and he wouldn't go in for that challenge if he knew that he wasn't going to get a yellow card. And I think his reaction spoke volumes because even he was shocked by it. So I think he was fine with doing what he did, Amorim, because I think you saw what happened with Enzo Maresca. Use that as an example. Maresca took his entire front line off in the first half. United got down to 10 men, and then they're like, hang on a minute, Chelsea could actually take this game and advantage it. And it shows that if Amorim didn't make that sub, fine, we brought on Ugarte in the second half, and Ugarte did the job, as Sean said there. So I think like everything mapped out the way I think perfectly, to be honest.
Sean, United won't have Casemiro against Brentford, who are a very direct side, will come at us. How can we deal with that at the weekend?
Yeah, I think as much as obviously we've not had, it's not been a happy hunting ground for us, has it, Brentford? We haven't won away from home since 2022, I don't think, when Ralph Rangnick was in charge. But they're not in great form. I think we've got to go for it. We've seen that we are a good attacking side as much as we haven't scored many goals. So in terms of replacing Casemiro, I'd love to see Mainoo step in. We've seen him play alongside Fernandes, and it has worked. And we know it can work. It would be a bold move, but it would be a way for us to pin back Brentford and really go at them.
Speaking about Brentford's attacking threat, at the weekend against Chelsea, Matthias de Ligt was one of the standout performers. I thought United defended really well, although they did concede after going down to 10 men. That said, how can we use that as a boost going into this game? That although we are conceding goals, the back three seems to be kind of getting a lot better.
Yeah, and they're also trying to contribute to the attack much more. I think that was a big theme against Chelsea, that the wider centre backs are now regularly helping the wing backs progress the ball. So on paper, Ruben Amorim plays 7 defensive players every game. But if you see the evolution of the game, probably only 2 or 3 players actually have defensive roles in the team. So especially with Diogo Dalot, probably now back in full training, maybe we can get Nusai Mazraoui as a right-sided centre-back, and he can help more with the ball progression. So the defense is defense in name only in a Ruben Amorim system, because they have to contribute as much to the attack as well. And I think we're starting to see it happen now.
Adnan, the list we just mentioned, how important is he now? Because it looks like he's actually becoming a leader in this dressing room.
Oh, he's fantastic. I adore Matthias de Ligt. I think that's Erik ten Hag's farewell present to Ruben Amorim and also Lenny Yoro. I think he's given a really great defensive setup for a man who plays free at the back. And, questions have always been raised, with Antonio Conte playing free at the back with Chelsea and, with Ruben Amorim. And even Vatsal said that as well. The system works with its centre backs, and he is a leader. I think, you see Paul Scholes being very quiet at the minute after criticism against Matthias de Ligt and people writing him off. But he understands the game. It's so weird with Matthias de Ligt in the sense that he's been written off since he came to Manchester United because he's like, in his late 20s, and maybe he didn't play for Juventus and Bayern Munich and Ajax and big clubs in Europe, but he knows the game, he knows the system. And I always find it fascinating because one of my favorite things I knew about Matthias de Ligt was that when he did his interview with one of the United magazines, he spoke about the fact that he's like, this is the first time I played under a manager who plays free at the back every single game. So he knows the system, he knows how it does. And he is no different from Mason Mount. He knows exactly what Ruben Amorim demands of a player in that system. And I think future captain for me, 100% my feelings.
There was a lot of talk before the game about Maguire starting and, of course, Lenny Yoro coming out of the team. Sean, do you think against Brentford that he sticks with Maguire, who played really well against Chelsea, or will he bring in Lenny Yoro, who is a very promising player? And I don't think he did too much wrong in the games leading up to that, apart from the derby.
Yeah, I agree. I think Lenny Yoro's had a really strong start to the season, but as you say, Maguire was fantastic for Chelsea. And also, I think that kind of dynamic where Maguire plays centrally and de Ligt plays right centre-back actually kind of works. We've seen de Ligt kind of roam forward and attack that right-hand side, which doesn't seem to be like a natural part of his game, but he does it well. And he does link up with the wing-back well. So, and as you say, Brentford, set pieces, direct approach, having de Ligt and Maguire in there certainly will help. We saw when Yoro came on, he doesn't particularly cope with that as well as them two. So, absolutely, why not Maguire and de Ligt?
On the back of what we've seen this season, and of course the win over Chelsea, Vatsal, what are you hoping Amorim takes into this game against Brentford? It's important that United gain momentum now, back-to-back wins, and take that into this game against Sunderland the following week. But what must Amorim take from the game so far into this one?
I think the first half has to be the template, because they've shown that they are able to do that to an elite team. The world champions, as Alejandro Garnacho would repeatedly remind you. So if we can do that to Chelsea, then we can definitely do that at Brentford, and we can definitely do that to Sunderland as well. And somehow, some way or the other, we need to get that guy's haircut. So we have to beat Liverpool as well. So the first half has to be the template. If we can keep doing that, and that's what Amorim wants, right? Aggression. Because the system doesn't mean much if you're not going to press your man. Like, I'm going to sound a bit like Roy Keane at this moment, but you have to press your man. You have to win your duels. That is the most important thing. So as long as they do that, then I think this team really is onto something.
Adnan, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Is there anything, it is a tough question, is there anything that you would add to what we've seen so far to benefit the attacking players in this system? There's a lot of talk about Sesko, chances not being created. The same thing happened with Highland in the past. What's this team lacking? Is there anything we could introduce to make it a bit easier against Brentford?
Yeah, I would say two things. And I think this goes down to Ruben Amorim and then obviously two players as well. I think it's management. I think Bruno Fernandes needs to be unlocked in that system because we saw it against, in that last game, that when he started to progress a bit forward, he kind of moved out of his position and went attacking. We saw the impact from Bruno Fernandes, and I think he really needs to kind of be, a bit more freedom. So I think with Ruben Amorim on that side, he needs to be able to play him a bit forward in the next game, and then also as well do what I think a lot of people aren't talking about is taking him off in the second half because he gave him a rest. And it was like, that's the right decision to take him off now because, you have players that you can commit to on the pitch. So I think that's one of the options. And then I think in the second half, I would really like to see Joshua Zirkzee come on against Brentford and really control the game and link up with the other attackers because he offers something. I think Ruben Amorim made a really great assessment of the game that we played just then against Chelsea, where he said that Bryan Mbeumo and also Sesko are linking up in the sense that you have really strong attributes from Sesko, and then you also have really aggressive play from Mbeumo. So I feel like, if you get Joshua Zirkzee in one of those 10 roles, he might be able to link up things even more and like let us control the game essentially. We take the lead at Brentford and then we start dictating the game. So I think those are the two options where I think the attacking threat could be quite different against Brentford.
Sean, one of the biggest talking points this season has been the midfield combination and getting that right. Of course, Casemiro is going to be suspended. So who comes in for United and hardens up that midfield central pair?
Well, we've wanted to see him all season. We've wanted to see him get more minutes. I think Mainoo would be a great shout alongside Fernandes. It would be bold, it would be brave, it would be very attacking compared to what you'd consider the conservative option of putting Ugarte in after what he did against Chelsea. But I think we can go attacking against Brentford. The only two teams have conceded more than them. So let's go for it.
Brilliant. Well, look, we want to know if you agree with what the lads have said about the lessons that need to be learned going into the Brentford game. Do you agree with the 3 lessons that the lads have put forward for Amorim going into this game against Brentford? Make sure you click subscribe, like, and we'll have more videos coming to you very shortly from United in Focus.